Good evening, folks, and welcome to the 151st episode of Tone's Takes. And I have three stories that I want to cover, so I'm going to try to do it really quick. The first thing I wanted to start with is this sad, very sad story of this man here, Gregory Vaughn Hill Jr. His family was basically awarded 4 cents in a wrongful death lawsuit that was filed after Hill was shot to death in his home by a sheriff's deputy in 2014. The deputies were investigating a complaint about loud, obscene music. Hill was listening to Drake's All Me, which, gosh, I didn't think Drake was really that obscene, especially after Pusha T pretty much put him in his place, right? But basically, the police ended up shooting him through the closed door of his garage. So, based on the story that was given, Gregory Vaughn Hill opened the garage when the police came. When he realized it was police, he was closing the garage. Police say he was also pulling out a gun at the same time. The gun turned out to be an empty 9mm handgun, and basically questions abound as to how this could happen, but we all know how this could happen because Black lives don't matter, and this verdict pretty much proves it more or less. And again, I will say this to anyone black watching or anyone that cares about Black lives watching: if you are confronted by police, just don't do anything but put your hands up. It's that simple. But of course, this story takes a turn because basically they found that Gregory Vaughn Hill Jr. was drunk, and because of that, he is mainly responsible for what happened to him. And based on Florida's laws, they're actually pretty lenient because they actually still provide some sort of a portion, or they portion out the responsibility, but they still said that Gregory Vaughn Hill Jr. was 99% responsible. The jury did not even understand what they were really getting into. There's a good Slate article that kind of breaks this all down, so I urge you to take a look at that, but I will read some of this. So it talks about these nominal damages, and there's an instruction for nominal damages that's supposed to apply to federal civil rights claims, but not to claims of negligence. It says, in fact, the jury instruction specified that there's no exact standard to be used in determining compensation for the latter. Awards should be fair and just and based on evidence about the cause of the funeral and the effects of Hill's shooting on his children's lives. At the trial, Hill's mother testified that funeral expenses ran about $11,000. His children also testified to the extent of their pain and suffering. And then it goes on to say the jurors haven't spoken to the press, but their motivations aren't clear. However, it does seem like they were confused about the rules. It said that they were deadlocked, but then 2 hours later they sent the judge this cryptic note asking, if we find minimal negligence, can the courts overrule monetary amounts presented by the jury? And the judge responded by saying the court does not understand the question. And that seems to be the extent to how they were trying to figure this all out, because shortly thereafter, a 4-cent verdict was delivered. And it closes, the Slate article closes with this. It says, even if the jury did mistakenly apply the nominal damages option to the second claim, it may not have changed the outcome. Though Florida is a pure comparative negligence state, there is an exception on the books for people who are drunk and high. Since Hill had been drinking, and that fact led the jury to conclude that he was more than 50% responsible for his own death, all liability for the defendant is wiped away. So that means that means the sheriff would have owed nothing, regardless, nothing to the family, even if the jury had awarded them $11,000 for the funeral expenses and up to $500,000 for each child's pain and suffering. So to 4 cents in damages is way more than what they should actually be getting. And it's just a really sad story, because obviously I'm not sure what this family's state is. Again, this is a mom trying to raise 3 children, age 9, 6, and 3, and it just sucks. It really does suck. But hey, Dems be the brakes for black people in America, right? But that's all I want to talk about there. The next story I wanted to talk about was the Equal Rights Act. For some reason, the Equal Rights Act has not actually passed, is not an amendment in the U.S., despite the fact that it was brought to Congress in 1923. It was finally approved by Congress to, go to the states for ratification and the Constitution in 1972, and I guess that put like a 10-year clock on the states to ratify it, and you need, I guess, 38 out of 50 states to ratify an amendment before it actually becomes an amendment. Well, guess what? Illinois just ratified that amendment, and they are the 37th state to ratify the amendment. And the amendment would basically state that equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. And so for women, this is like a huge deal. But as you can see, women are like kind of crazy going at each other right now, because you've got Roseanne going after Valerie Jarrett. Then you had Samantha Bee going after Ivanka Trump. So I'm not even sure if women have been on board to push this enough. And so now it seems like it's finally being brought back to states. Nevada, I believe, passed it a few years ago, if not last year. But there are still 13 states that have not ratified this yet, and they are Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, North Carolina, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Utah, and Virginia. And most of these seem like southern states. I wonder if there's a coincidence. But anyway, it is just really weird that this has not been a ratified amendment. Hopefully it happens. Hopefully one more of these states actually does ratify it, and it can become a part of the amendment, especially in the Me Too era and the Time's Up movement era. It's like this just seems right. One of these other states needs to step up, and you would think it would be Arizona or even North Carolina. But who knows? Who knows? But it's just really interesting that this is still an open thing. And then finally, I touched on it just briefly. What the heck is going on, ladies? Why are women being so caustic? And the media especially. I mean, you guys are supposed to be like examples, setting examples. And yet you're out here comparing each other to Planet of the Apes mixed with Muslim Brotherhood, and then again Samantha B, who finally apologized, but I'm not sure if she's going to be fired, which just seems like a double standard in media to me. But she called Ivanka Trump a feckless cunt. Like, why? I don't understand what is happening here, and the caustic language that is being used in the media and in politics is just terrible, and it's really setting a terrible example for all of us in America and for all of us around the world. I really don't want to see it. Keep it in the rap. It's interesting because I feel like Pusha T actually has more couth in his diss against Drake than what we're seeing from our politics and from people that are supposed to be rather vanilla in their language. No pun intended on the fact that they're white. But it's just very interesting. So anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on all three of these stories, from the Gregory Hill Vaughn story, the Equal Rights Amendment for women, and just women in general just attacking each other. Can y'all not? Like, stand up, fight for each other. That's all I got today. I will see you all tomorrow. Peace out.